Hi, this is Maida. Thanks for joining me for another drawing recording session. As you can see, what I'm starting with is another fairy drawing. This time I included in the bottom corner the original sketch of the outfits that I had planned for this, as well as the plant that their outfits are based on. So, in case anyone didn't watch my previous videos, I explained that I had started a Sketchtember series of fairies with outfits based on different houseplants. The first one I did was actually not a houseplant though, it was water lily fairies, so I guess I cheated for that one. But this is a houseplant that I do own. It's called Peperomia Obtusifolia. And I picked the variegated version so that it isn't just plain one tone of green. So you have that really like pale yellow green included in that. Anyways, the concept for this, okay, is that an older sibling fairy is trying to get her younger sibling fairy to fly, but they're too scared to do it. So there you have it. And yeah, I started with coloring the background in just like I did for the water lily ones, and that's just something I prefer to do now, just to get I don't know, because I want to make sure my colors fit well with the background, so I just start with the background. I'm sure because this is digital, there's a way to integrate that however, whichever way you start, whether you start with the characters or with the background, but these days that is my preference, is starting with the background. So because the fairies are based on plants, it is a ton of green. So I'm trying to add a little pop of color by including a ladybug in there. And later I pull from that also to use in the characters' color schemes as well. It's really fun because actually red line art, because there's so much green in the fairy drawings that I've been doing, the red in the line art comes across as more or less neutral once you get all the colors in, but I do wind up changing the color to purple later on, just so that it isn't quite so vibrant, I guess, or neon looking, I suppose. But yeah, so I guess the outfits that I kind of had in mind for this were like shepherdy, like German-esque. Like I did double check what a Drindle and Lederhosen looked like after I made this sketch, but then I decided like I'll just keep my sketch how it is because I kind of like the shapes that I pulled from it already. And if I had one complaint about this drawing, I would say I'm not super wild with the character poses. If I were to do it again, I might do something different. But basically, I was afraid to do the original pose that I had in mind. You wouldn't have been able to see her socks, which I felt was an important enough part of the design that you needed to see it. So there you go. That's why it's just kind of a straight shot with her legs included. Otherwise it would have been kind of like hidden behind her skirt in something more dynamic. So I really liked the idea of including like really long ringlet pigtails, and so that's what I did here. Obviously you can see in my sketch. I'm not really sure what up with the hand pieces. I guess they're kind of like gloves. They remind me of wrist guards. They remind me of wrist guards that you wear for like roller skating. So I guess that was kind of the idea there, is almost like wrist guard type things. And I know that So the leaf shape for the baby rubber plant, or the Peperomia Obtusifolia, as it's otherwise known, the picture that I provided, it's kind of like round, like more round. But if you see one in real life, you'll see that the leaves kind of fold in a little bit, and so that's why you have that shape on their that shape on like the girl's skirt, and the other character's like hip is more of the half circle rather than a full round thing, because they do kind of bend with a very like, the tip isn't super pointed, but yeah, they get folded in half. Anyway, try and find the right shades of, you'd think picking just greens would be easy, but trying to find the right greens together is actually was actually kind of a struggle, at least for me, because I wanted to make sure the characters stood out enough without looking like they don't belong with the background. And I hope I did okay. So I did contrast all of the green, like I said. I used pinks and reds for the hair, and obviously like browner, like earth tone for the skin. And that's just to add some different levels of color, rather than just making it all super too green. It wouldn't be a very interesting video if all of my fairies were dressed in straight green. I did have kind of a tough time picking the orange for the scared one's hair. And yeah, and here I am just painting in the details for the Peperomia leaves, Peperomia Obtusifolia, baby rubber plant. This houseplant is actually, I'm pretty sure it's pet safe. My cat doesn't touch any of my plants for the most part, so it is what it is. The fairy wings in this video are based on what I saw of like bumblebee wings. I know they don't really look like cartoon bumblebee wings, because cartoon bumblebee wings are pretty much like circles, discs. So, but yeah, they were based on bumblebee wings, or some kind of bee. I can't remember if it was if I used a bumblebee or a different kind of bee, like a honeybee. Probably a honeybee now that I'm thinking of it. But anyways, like I said, if everything was too green, it would wind up being pretty flat. And so you can kind of see in the background that I tried to do like little splotches of color. And I lowered the opacity and put it under like, I think, I don't know, under some kind of layer mode, or it might just be normal. But that's just to break up, like I said, all of the green. And eventually I think I make it quite a bit more yellow, just to bring some distance from the scene that I have created to the background. Because like I said, these are houseplants, so like there isn't really anything super interesting I can put in the background. I did add a ladybug for funsies. We'll just assume a window is open off screen, and it got in to the house. But yeah, actually I did see in more tropical regions people do grow these outside. But anyway, yeah, I'm just going through and adding all the shadows and lighting details now. Because I'm very short on time these days, I don't do anything super complicated with the coloring. It's just, I would call it cell shading. It's pretty flat. But I try to pick, you know, interesting enough colors for the shadows so that it doesn't just look like one note. Because, you know, I mean, there's a time and a place, but if you use like gray on multiply, it tends to look a little flat, or the colors look a little muddy. So I normally use some kind of like purple for the shadows, some variation of purple or pinks. Because yeah, for their cream colored shirts, I'm pretty sure it's actually a pinkish tone. Let me know what you guys think of this drawing in the comments. I think it's pretty cute, but like I said, it's not exactly what I had in mind for the pose. But I think with the way I placed the branches of the plants in the background, it's kind of like there's some visual interest there. Anyways, thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.